there was a study done by a company that it was over 18 months. And essentially what they were doing was they were looking at different industries, and they were saying when someone inquired about a product, whether it's, how to make money online, or, a Fitbit or a bottle of water, it doesn't matter, right? It was just like a particular product that they were looking for. What percentage of them eventually purchased the product that they were inquiring? And they discovered that over 18 months, at least 50% of people that inquired about the product would purchase it, right? So 50% of people who opt in will eventually buy the product or something similar to it, right? Like I could look at Fitbit, but I could end up with an Apple Watch, right? It isn't exactly that it's the exact product, but it's in this product line, okay? And so you want to think about this. Think about this with your own business, that 50% of people who opt into your list will eventually buy one of the products that you promote or something similar to it over time. Doesn't mean that they're all going to buy from you, but if you do this correctly, most of that will be bought from you, because most people aren't going to be doing the things that I'm going to be teaching you in this masterclass and the coming masterclasses that's going to allow you to drive this number up over time. So let's look at the math real quick, because I want to share with you, I want you to see concretely what the opportunity is here. So let's say we get 1,000 opt-ins. That means that according to this study, and by the way, I've seen this play out. When I heard about this study 4 or 5 years ago, I started tracking this, and I was shocked at how accurate it was. That means for every 1,000 opt-ins that there's about 500 potential buyers, meaning there's 500 people on there that are going to buy either the product that I'm promoting or something similar to it. It's not 100%, because look, some people, they're interested in making money online, but they're never going to pull their credit card out when it comes to that. Their values say that they should spend money on something else, which is fine. 50% is still pretty good. Here's where it gets interesting though. Only 15% of those 500 buyers will buy in the first 90 days. Okay. So that means that if you take 500 buyers times 15%, that's 75 buyers in the first 90 days. Now, if you recall, we talked about a goal of having 7 to 10% of our opt-ins purchase one of these level 2 products from us, right? So in that case, with 1,000 opt-ins, we're saying that we eventually would like to sell 70 to 100 of those people into our level 2 product. So you'll see here, this number sort of falls in line with that in the first 90 days. We're talking about 75 buyers in the first 90 days. Now, here's the thing is that, we all suffer from this, some more than others. If you are someone that is on the older side, let's say just relatively speaking, you actually have a really strong advantage here, because, and I'm not going to bash on anybody that's younger here. I'm 40, just so you know. But the younger generation, just everything's given to them automatically, right? They got a phone, they got information. A lot of us remember we used to have to go to like a library and look things up, and that's just not the case anymore. And what it trained us to do was to be able to delay instant gratification. Okay. But we still all struggle with this to some degree. But one of the things that, and I've said this before and I will say it again, your ability to delay instant gratification is one of the biggest superpowers that you're going to have in your online business. I think in life in general, but let's just talk about your online business. Because most people will buy some traffic, and let's say they don't make enough sales or whatever, and they're like, this doesn't work, or why are the numbers not shaking out, whatever it is. And we're talking about people that have been doing this for less than 30 days. And so when you talk about 90 days, all of a sudden, even to experienced successful internet marketers, 90 days seems like an eternity when you're talking specifically about trying to take an opt-in and sell them their first product. Most people, they just don't think that way. And I'm going to make the argument that 90 days is actually short when we talk about what's potentially on the table if you do this correctly, okay? So, like I said already, 75 buyers out of 1,000 opt-ins, that's right around where our 7 to 10% goal is. So I'm saying that there's a good chance that you could hit that goal in the first 90 days if you do the things that we're going to talk about tonight and in future masterclasses. But this means that 85% of the potential business value, meaning the potential income that you could make from your subscribers at this level, is more than 90 days away from now. That means that 85% of the potential business value is more than 90 days away. Now think about that. Most even experienced, successful internet marketers aren't thinking past 90 days. They're thinking, oh, I've got this 14-day autoresponder series. I'm going to run them through the gauntlet. I'm going to try to sell them into that. If they don't, I'll just try to sell them other stuff. Okay. Now think about that. If you take your 500 potential buyers, you multiply that by 85%, that means that there's 425 buyers, level 1 to level 2 in this case, from day 91 to 548, which is essentially 18 months. And like I said here, most marketers never experience these sales because they've burned out their subscribers far before they ever get to day 91. Okay. So think about this, that most of the potential money that you could make that most people never realize, what happens is they go somewhere else, right? They buy it from someone else, or they get on somebody else's list and it's just the right timing for them. People don't buy for so many different reasons right away, right? And it's not our job to like judge them if they don't buy. It's like, okay, cool, they weren't ready to buy. We're just going to continue to be cool to them, give them value, offer them great products. And eventually we know that if we do this correctly, that there's a 1 in 2 chance that they will buy from us eventually. Okay. The concept that I want you to take here is that means that 90 days is the short term, whereas most internet marketers perceive 90 days to be long term in regards to how they treat their subscribers. Okay. So I want you to start thinking when an opt-in, a subscriber joins your list, I want you to start thinking in 18 months at least, meaning I'm going to provide as much value to this prospect as possible for the next 18 months, knowing that if I do it correctly, if I'm leading with value, that there's a very good chance that they'll eventually buy from me. But if I just do it the way most people do, and we're going to talk about specifically what that looks like, that there's a very good chance they won't buy from me, right? Even if you do this somewhat well, you're only ever going to realize 15% of them. And most people, like I said, are going to burn out people long before the first 90 days. So most people are never going to realize 15%. Remember, my goal for you was 7 to 10%. So if you're even half as good as that first 90 days, you should still hit the goal. And that's the beauty of it. You don't have to be amazing at this. When I say this, I'm talking about getting really good at what do I send to my list? Providing value to your list, having that balance between value and promotion. Okay. But I also want you to know that it's okay if you spend money today and you don't make it all back today or even this week, because that's not where the wealth and the gold is. It's in the long term. And when I'm talking about long term right now, let's just talk about 18 months, because that's what the study talked about. I've seen it. I've seen this play out multiple times. And so I think it's important that we start thinking about this and setting the table with our approach, thinking about we're going to serve these level 1 prospects by giving them value, recommending great products. We're going to do that for at least 18 months, and magic will happen if you do this correctly.